In 120 A.D., 6,000 of Rome's finest soldiers marched into history and never came back. No bodies, no survivors, no explanation. The Roman Empire's most decorated legion simply vanished. For 19 centuries, nobody knew what happened. Until now. To understand what was lost, you need to understand what Rome was at its peak. An empire of 70 million people, roads stretching 250,000 miles, cities with running water, sewage systems, and central heating. Technology Europe wouldn't rediscover for 1,000 years. At the center of this machine, the Roman legion, the most effective military force the ancient world had ever produced. The Ninth Legion, Legio IX Hispana, was not just any unit. Founded by Julius Caesar himself, it had fought in Spain, Africa, and the bloody conquest of Britain. These were veterans, killers, men who had crossed the Rhine, survived Boudicca's revolt, and built Hadrian's Wall with their own hands. Rome trusted the Ninth with its most dangerous frontier. And then, around 108 A.D., they were gone. The last confirmed record of the Ninth Legion places them at their fortress in York, England, in 108 A.D. After that, nothing. No discharge records, no transfer orders, no battle report, no grave markers. In a civilization famous for its obsessive record-keeping, 6,000 men produced zero documentation after that date. They didn't retire. They didn't transfer. They ceased to exist in the historical record entirely. For 2 centuries, historians assumed the answer was simple. The Ninth marched north into Scotland, walked into an ambush, and was slaughtered by Caledonian tribes. It was a dramatic story. It inspired novels, films, and television series. There was just one problem. There is absolutely no archaeological evidence it ever happened. No mass grave, no battlefield, no weapons cache, no Roman armor in Scottish soil. The massacre theory was essentially invented. Then, in 1998, archaeologists excavating in Nijmegen in the Netherlands made a discovery that changed everything. They found tile stamps, Roman military construction markers, bearing the stamp of the Ninth Legion, dated to after 120 A.D. The Ninth hadn't been destroyed in Scotland. They had been transferred to the continent. Alive, active, still building, still fighting. The question was no longer how they died in Britain. The question became, where did they go next? The trail leads east. In 132 A.D., the deadliest revolt in Roman history exploded in Judea, modern-day Israel, the Bar Kokhba revolt. Jewish rebels inflicted catastrophic losses on Roman forces, forcing Emperor Hadrian to deploy his best legions from across the empire. Historians now believe the Ninth was sent directly into this inferno. The revolt lasted 3 years. Rome lost an estimated 580,000 soldiers, and the Ninth Legion, after 132 A.D., disappears from history forever. In 2025, a joint Israeli-British archaeological team excavating near the ancient city of Bethar, the last stronghold of the revolt, uncovered a mass grave containing the remains of Roman soldiers, armor fragments, weapon components, and stamped equipment bearing legion markings consistent with Western European units deployed specifically for this campaign. The excavation is ongoing, but for the first time, we may be standing at the actual final resting place of Rome's lost legion. Here's what makes this story even stranger. Hadrian's Wall, the massive fortification the Ninth helped build across northern Britain, was constructed immediately after the legion's disappearance from British records. Some historians now argue the wall wasn't built to keep Scottish tribes out. It was built because Rome had just lost its best legion and needed a permanent barrier to compensate. The Ninth's disappearance may have physically reshaped Britain forever. You can still walk where the Ninth Legion walked. The city of York, called Iberacum by the Romans, still contains the foundations of their fortress beneath the modern streets. Tourists walk over Roman walls every day without knowing it. The Ninth built the bathhouses, the granaries, the defensive towers that York still stands on. They were here for decades. They shaped a city that survived 2,000 years, and then they left and never came back. The story of the Ninth Legion isn't just a military mystery, it's a mirror. Rome at its peak was the most powerful civilization on earth, undefeated, untouchable, eternal. And yet, piece by piece, its greatest instruments of power began to fail. A legion here, a frontier there. Historians who study imperial collapse say Rome didn't fall from outside pressure alone. It collapsed because it stopped being able to account for its own losses. Sound familiar?